I won $4 million at 19. Then my parents demanded half like it already belonged to them. The happiest moment of my life turned into a family war the second my parents decided my lottery winnings were somehow their retirement plan. Earlier this year, I won the lottery. Not a small amount. Not enough to buy a nice car and call it a day. I won roughly $4 million. Even typing that still feels unreal. I was only 19 years old, and overnight my entire future changed. At first, I didn't tell anyone. I spent about a week processing it myself, trying to stay calm, trying not to do anything stupid, trying not to become one of those lottery horror stories you always hear about. Eventually, I decided to tell my parents. We've always had a good relationship. They've supported me my whole life, and honestly, I was excited to share the news with them. I imagined celebrating together, maybe talking about smart financial decisions, maybe discussing how this would help secure my future. Instead, the conversation went somewhere I never expected. At first, they were thrilled. My mom was emotional. My dad couldn't stop smiling. For a little while, it felt like exactly the reaction I hoped for. Then the conversation shifted. Suddenly, they weren't talking about my future anymore. They were talking about theirs. Retirement, luxury vacations, a new car, a boat, traveling the world. And the weird part wasn't that they were dreaming. The weird part was the way they talked about it, like the money already belonged to them. At first, I thought they were joking. Then I realized they weren't. So eventually, I asked a simple question. How much are you expecting? My dad looked me dead in the eye. No hesitation, no smile, nothing. And said, half. £2 million. Just like that. Like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. I honestly thought I misheard him. Because while $4 million is obviously life-changing money, £2 million is still £2 million. That's not asking for help. That's not asking for support. That's asking for half of someone else's fortune. And what made it even stranger was that my parents aren't struggling. They have savings. Their mortgage is fully paid off. They aren't drowning in debt. They aren't facing foreclosure. Nobody is starving. So I genuinely didn't understand why they felt entitled to half. The thing is, I never intended to keep everything for myself. Not even close. Before any of this happened, I'd already decided I wanted to give them something substantial. I was planning to give them $750,000. Not a loan, not an investment, a gift, nearly £750,000. Enough to retire earlier, enough to travel, enough to enjoy life without financial stress. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty generous way of saying thank you for everything they'd done for me growing up. So I offered it, and that's when everything exploded. They didn't thank me. They didn't appreciate it. They didn't even consider it. Instead, they got angry, really angry, because apparently $750,000 wasn't enough. They wanted the original amount, $2 million, and suddenly I wasn't their lucky son anymore. I was selfish, ungrateful, greedy. The insults started flying because I wouldn't hand over half of something I'd won. And honestly, that's the part that hurt most. Not the money, the entitlement. Because somehow my lottery win had stopped being a blessing and turned into a test. A test where the only acceptable answer was giving them exactly what they demanded. The more we argued, the more uncomfortable I became. Because I started realizing something. If someone genuinely appreciates a gift, they don't usually get furious when it's only $750,000. They get furious when they believe they're owed more. And that's what this feels like. Not gratitude, ownership. Like they already spent the money in their heads before I ever had a chance to decide what I wanted to do with it. Now we're stuck going in circles. They insist half is fair. I insist it's my money. And while I still want to help them because they're my parents, the more they push, the harder it becomes to ignore how quickly excitement turned into entitlement. Because honestly, winning the lottery wasn't the most shocking part of this story. The most shocking part was discovering how differently people treat you the moment they think your money belongs to them. Comment entitled if demanding half of your child's lottery winnings crosses the line. Because looking back now, I still can't decide what changed faster, my bank account or my parents' expectations.